Imagine strapping a parachute to your coat before jumping off a building, or carrying a briefcase that explodes its contents all over the floor when a thief grabs it. It sounds completely insane, right? But what if I told you these weren't just crazy thoughts? They were real inventions, hailed by some as the next big thing. We're not talking about small miscalculations. We're talking about concepts so ambitious, so strange, and so catastrophically flawed they were doomed from the very beginning. From glowing tires that melted on the road to a helmet designed to lock you away from the world, today we are counting down 10 ingenious inventions that died before their time. And I promise you, what's waiting at number 1 will make you question everything. Kicking off our countdown, let's start with our number 10. Picture this. It's the early 1960s. The future feels electric, and a wave of optimism is sweeping the world. Even something as simple as a car tire is about to get a dazzling makeover. Enter Goodyear's glowing tires. A chemist named William Larson, along with his partner Anthony Finelli, developed a synthetic rubber called neothane. It was translucent, and you could dye it in vibrant colors like bright green or deep blue. But here's the magic. They put 18 light bulbs inside the wheel rim, making the entire tire glow as you drove. Imagine cruising through the city on wheels of pure colored light. When Goodyear paraded cars with these tires through Miami, people were awestruck. The future had arrived. So why don't our cars look like they drove straight out of a sci-fi film? Well, reality hit hard. The neothane compound had terrible grip in wet weather, and even worse, it had a nasty habit of melting under heavy braking. Not exactly a feature you want in a tire. They were also incredibly expensive. But the real nail in the coffin was just how distracting they were, causing other drivers to stop dead in their tracks to stare. It was a brilliant flash of an idea that just burned out way too fast. Coming in at number 9 is an invention that tried to solve crime with the power of chaos. Picture this. It's 1963, and French-Canadian inventor John H.T. Rinfret has a problem. He keeps getting robbed, so naturally he decides to invent a solution. Enter the Pug Anti-Bandit bag. This wasn't just any briefcase. Hidden inside was a spring-loaded mechanism connected to the handle. If a thief tried to snatch your bag, all you had to do was crook your thumb on the trigger, and boom, the bottom of the case would fall open, launching your documents, money, and belongings all over the floor in a spectacular explosion of paper and chaos. The theory? The bandit would be so shocked and confused by the sudden eruption of flying objects that they'd panic and run away empty-handed. Rinfret was so confident in his design that he came out with an improved version the following year. He even tried to rent them to companies for couriers carrying important documents or cash. But here's the problem. What if the thief just picked up the money off the ground? Or worse, what if you accidentally triggered it yourself on a crowded street? Other inventors tried variations too. Bags that spewed smoke and dye, or the arrestor, which clamped onto the thief's hand and shot out 3 12-foot telescoping metal rods. None of them made it to mass production. Turns out, a briefcase that defeats itself wasn't quite the security breakthrough the world needed. For our number 8 spot, we have a tale of radioactive retail gone wrong. Imagine walking into a shoe store in the 1940s. You're trying on a new pair, but how do you know if they really fit? Easy. You step up onto a large wooden cabinet, slide your feet inside, and a salesperson flips a switch. Suddenly, you're staring down at an X-ray image of your foot bones wiggling inside the shoe. Welcome to the shoe-fitting Fluoroscope. Invented by Boston physician Jacob Lowe in 1919 and marketed throughout the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. This device was essentially an unshielded X-ray machine disguised as furniture. The pitch was scientific precision. Now you could see, with your own eyes, whether those shoes pinched your toes. Shoe stores across America and Europe installed an estimated 10,000 of these machines. Kids loved them. Parents trusted them. But here's the problem. They were blasting everyone with dangerous doses of radiation. The machines had virtually no shielding, and both customers and especially the shoe store employees who operated them 15 to 20 times a day were getting cooked. By the late 1940s, medical journals started documenting cases of radiation burns, skin damage, and worse. One woman who operated one for 10 years developed severe X-ray dermatitis on her leg and foot. States began banning them in 1957, but some lingered until the 1970s. It was a machine that promised the future but delivered cancer instead. Halfway to the top 5, our number 7 is a cautionary tale of hype meeting reality. In 1957, the Ford Motor Company was ready to unveil what they believed would be the car of the future. They'd spent 10 years and a staggering $250 million developing it. They launched a massive advertising campaign, teasing the public for months without even showing them what the car looked like. The anticipation was electric, and then, on September 4, 1957, E-Day, the world finally saw the Ford Edsel. It was not what anyone expected. The car featured a massive vertical grille that critics said looked like a horse collar, or worse. It came in a confusing 18 different models. It was priced awkwardly between Ford's own lineup, cannibalizing their own sales. And the timing? Catastrophic. Just weeks after launch, the US economy entered a recession, and suddenly nobody wanted an expensive gas-guzzling car, adding insult to injury. On top of that, the build quality was terrible. Cars arrived at dealerships with parts missing, paint peeling, and trunks that wouldn't open. Ford had hyped it to the moon, but the Edsel couldn't deliver. In its first year, Ford hoped to sell 200,000 units. They sold 63,000. By 1959, it was dead, having lost Ford over $350 million. The Edsel became the poster child for spectacular corporate failure, a case study taught in business schools to this day. Sometimes, no amount of money or marketing can save a bad idea at the wrong time. Cracking into the number 6 position is a legendary flop from a certified genius. In the mid-1980s, Sir Clive Sinclair was a tech icon. He'd helped bring computers into our homes. So when he unveiled his next creation in 1985, a revolutionary personal electric vehicle, the world held its breath. It was the Sinclair C5, a small three-wheeled tricycle with a sleek plastic body that looked like it was ripped from the pages of a comic book. It was marketed as the future of transport, costing a fraction of a car's price. Sir Clive predicted it would change our cities forever. So what happened? It was an absolute catastrophe. Drivers sat in a low open cockpit, leaving them feeling incredibly vulnerable, basically at exhaust pipe level with other cars. The battery had a pitiful range, and its 15-mile-per-hour top speed was too slow for the road but too fast for the sidewalk. Critics famously mocked it, calling it an aerodynamic bathtub. And yet, decades later, the C5 has become a beloved cult classic, a quirky icon that proves even a genius can be spectacularly wrong. Or maybe, just way too early. These stories are incredible, right? If you're fascinated by these brilliant, bizarre, and broken ideas, hit that subscribe button and join us. We explore the weirdest corners of history every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what we find. All right, let's jump back into the madness. Starting our top 5 countdown at number 5, we have an invention born from the war against distraction. Imagine needing to focus so badly that you would willingly lock your own head inside a wooden box. Welcome to the Isolator helmet. In 1925, long before smartphone notifications, inventor Hugo Gernsback had already declared war on distraction. His solution was this thing, the solid wood helmet that completely encased your head, lined with cork and felt to block out about 95% of all sound. To get rid of visual distractions, he blocked the wearer's vision except for 2 tiny eye slits, just wide enough to see a single line of text at a time. The promise was total, uninterrupted concentration. But can you guess the immediate side effect of being plunged into a dark, silent, stuffy box? People would get drowsy. Gernsback's fix for that problem was to add an external oxygen tank, piped directly into the helmet to keep you from falling asleep or, suffocating. It was claustrophobic, creepy, and wildly unhygienic. And yet, in our modern world of open-plan offices and endless digital noise, you have to admit, he was onto something. At number 4, we have an answer to the age-old saying, build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. But what if that better mousetrap was a loaded pistol? In 1882, a man from Texas named James Alexander Williams patented exactly that. The gun-powered mousetrap was a wooden frame that held a loaded revolver, aims squarely at a baited treadle plate. A mouse or rat comes for the bait, steps on the plate, and bang! Problem solved with extreme prejudice. Williams even noted in his patent that the gunshot would serve as a handy alarm, letting you know it was time to reset the trap. Do I even need to explain why this failed? The danger of it going off by accident was astronomical, but Williams took the absurdity even further. He also suggested rigging it to a door or window as a burglar alarm, designed to kill any person or thing that tried to get in. This wasn't just a better mousetrap. It was the most extreme, and arguably the most Texan, solution to a problem ever conceived. The bronze medal for disastrous inventions goes to something that sounds noble but became deeply troubling. At number 3, we have the baby incubator sideshow. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, premature babies had almost no chance of survival. Hospitals didn't have the technology or the funding to keep them alive. Enter Dr. Martin Cooney, a physician who had a radical idea. Put premature babies in incubators and display them at World's Fairs and amusement parks. For a quarter, the public could walk through and gawk at rows of tiny infants fighting for their lives, displayed like carnival attractions. It sounds horrifying, and in many ways it was. But here's the twist. It actually worked. Cooney saved thousands of babies who would have otherwise died. He charged admission to fund the expensive around-the-clock medical care, and he never charged the parents a cent. For decades, from Coney Island to World Expositions, crowds lined up to see the infant incubators. The babies became celebrities, with their progress tracked in newspapers. But as modern neonatal care developed and hospitals finally adopted incubator technology, the sideshows became unnecessary and deeply uncomfortable. By the 1940s, they disappeared entirely. It was a brilliantly bizarre solution to a real problem, but it came at the cost of turning human suffering into entertainment. Sometimes the right idea is still wrapped in the wrong package. Our runner-up for the most genius invention that died before its time is a story of both brilliance and tragedy. In the early 20th century, aviation was a new and deadly frontier. A crash was often a death sentence, and a French tailor named Franz Reichelt was haunted by this. He became obsessed with inventing a suit that could double as a working parachute. Imagine a garment that was only slightly bulkier than a normal pilot's uniform but could save your life. It was a world-changing idea. After testing dummies from his fifth-floor apartment window seemed to work, Reichelt became completely convinced of his own genius. He believed his design only failed in later tests because he didn't have enough height. He needed to go higher. He set his sights on the Eiffel Tower. On February 4, 1912, a crowd of journalists gathered. The police had given him permission to test with a dummy, but when Reichelt arrived, he was wearing the suit himself. Friends and onlookers begged him not to jump. He was determined. In front of the cameras, he leaped. The failure was instant. The parachute never deployed, and Reichelt plummeted to his death. The whole heartbreaking event was captured on film, a permanent testament to an inventor's fatal overconfidence. And here we are. The #1 spot on our list goes to an invention so audacious it sounds like military fiction, but it was dangerously real. During the height of World War II, the Soviet Union faced a critical problem: how to get tanks to the front lines faster, especially to support partisans behind enemy lines. Their solution was the Antonov A-40, otherwise known as the Krylia tanka, or tank wings. The idea was shockingly direct. Instead of loading a tank into a glider, they strapped a massive wood and fabric biplane glider onto a T-60 light tank. A bomber would tow the flying tank into the air, release it near the battlefield, and the crew would glide it to a landing. Once on the ground, they'd jettison the wings and be ready to fight in minutes. A single prototype was built and tested on September 2, 1942. To even make flight possible, the T-60 tank had to be stripped of most of its ammunition, fuel, and armament. Piloted by famed Soviet test pilot Sergei Anokhin, the A-40 was towed into the sky, but the sheer drag was too much for the bomber, whose engines began to overheat. The crew was forced to release the glider prematurely to avoid crashing. Incredibly, Anokhin managed to glide the tank to a smooth landing in a nearby field, detach the wings, and drive the tank back to base under its own power. From the pilot's perspective, it flew perfectly, but the project was immediately abandoned. There simply wasn't a plane powerful enough to tow the immense weight at the required speed, making this brilliantly insane idea a one-flight wonder. So there you have it, 10 flashes of genius that, for one reason or another, were completely extinguished. From the tragically misguided to the hilariously absurd, these stories aren't just about failure. They're a powerful reminder that innovation is a wild, unpredictable ride. It shows us that for every idea that launches humanity forward, 100 others will crash and burn. But maybe that's the point. You have to risk the spectacular failure to find the spectacular success. What do you think? Did any of these deserve another shot? Or is there a spectacular failure we missed that needs to be on this list? Let's drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you love seeing history's weirdest and most wonderful moments brought to life, make sure you subscribe. Every picture has a tale, and we're here to frame it. Thanks for watching.